Welcome to Washington East to West Sports. This is episode 87. I am Matt Beatty, joined alongside, as usual, by Sean Beatty and Kevin Ardall. If you want to get involved in the show, go ahead and tweet at us. I'm at Beatty_Matt. Sean is at Sean Beatty. Kev is at CSEA to Believe. Go ahead and leave a comment on our YouTube. Tell us what you think of all the topics we talk about. Like our videos, dislike our videos. We're going to start with the OL Reign. They have played one game since we were last on the podcast. They won 2-1 against the Orlando Pride 2 Fridays ago. They are back in action this Friday at home on Paramount Plus or at Lumen Field if you're able to get out to the game on September 9th, one of our co-hosts' birthday. Happy 35th early birthday to Sean_Beatty. And so they will be playing on his birthday, September 9th, against the Chicago Red Stars. So Sean's going to be too busy in a sugar high with cake, so he won't be able to watch. But anyone else wants to watch, it's going to be on Paramount Plus. If you want to check out and support the OL Reign. Let's also get to the Seattle Storm. It was a tough game 3 yesterday. They took the first game against the Aces, lost the second game in Las Vegas. Yesterday, it was in Climate Pledge. I was in Seattle, didn't get to go to the game, but if you didn't get to see the game or any highlights, it was quite a game. It came down to the wire. I've got the Twitter highlight here of Sue Bird knocking down the corner three to take the lead. Just a simple inbounds play, Sue Bird in the corner, knocking it down for a 2-point lead. Now, you thought this was the game here when she hits it with 0.2 left, but not the case because they had a little bit of time left. And unfortunately, Las Vegas was able to get a shot and tie the game here. It's the right play by Tina Charles there to not foul and give the and one, but Jackie Young with a layup to tie the game, and then they won in overtime. Tough loss for the Seattle Storm there. Still in the series, it's only 2-1. They have game 2 on Tuesday, so support the Seattle Storm. We want to send Sue Bird out with the title. Hopefully they can win, send it back to Las Vegas for game 5. So just an outstanding basketball game yesterday with the Seattle Storm, even on the losing end. So Sean, did you happen to catch any of the Storm yesterday?
I did not. I was driving back, or I was doing actually a fantasy football draft. So we had it on kind of, but I wasn't able to super pay attention to it. But we did have it on in our group video, and actually we had one person at the game, so they had auto draft. So shout out to Yao. I don't know if you're gonna watch this, but he was at the game. So
Kevin, did you happen to catch any of the Storm game yesterday?
The last part, actually, pretty much. I finally actually remembered one. So, but it was literally it was like the last 5 minutes of it, sadly. So, which I mean was, I guess, the best part, but it was sad to see, unfortunately. But like I said, they're still in it. Hopefully, they can bring it back. Yeah, nothing really much to take away other than what we've already mentioned.
So game 4 in Seattle Tuesday. If you get to Climate Pledge, get out there. If not, it's going to be on ESPN2. And then if Seattle happens to win, forces a game 5, it's going to be in Las Vegas on Thursday, 7 p.m. ESPN2. So support the Seattle Storm while their season is still going. We'll get to also the Seattle Sounders here. They were able to pick up a win yesterday at home against Houston Dynamo. Yours truly was there with Sean and I's parents, as well as my girlfriend, Lauren. I was trying to complete our fantasy football draft while the halftime was going. Sean texted me right as halftime whistle blew, so I got in there. Luckily, I was the 10th pick, so I got in there with enough time to see what other people were doing. But I picked my starters and then stopped watching and stopped drafting. As soon as I stopped drafting, Nuhu scored a goal to tie the game at 1. And then Nicolas Ladero had a PK to take the lead. He got blocked, but then a cross from Nuhu to Freddie Montero for a header and a goal and a 2-1 victory. So far in my 2022 games that I've seen live, I've seen 2 Kraken wins and 1 Sounders win. So I am 3-0 in 2022. So if you want me to come out to your game, maybe Seahawks, give me all of those games. Apparently I'm good luck. So if you want me to come out and have your team win, I will take monetary donations. I'll give you my Venmo if you really want to. But the Sounders are trying to make a playoff push here. They have 5 games left, and they are 6 points back of Portland, who currently holds the final spot in the playoffs. So it's going to be a tough task, but it is possible. So the Sounders will try and make that playoff push. But it's not looking great right now. Kevin, have you been able to watch any Seattle Sounders soccer lately?
No, but to comment on Matthews, I technically already have the contract with the Seattle Sounders. So any attempt to make a contract would be a copyright infringement, which I would have to take you to court, and then, all that. Yeah. So, but I mean, any other team, if you want to. The Seattle Sounders are my piggy bank, so stay away.
That's fair. That's fair. Sean, have you been able to catch any Seattle Sounders soccer recently?
I had the games on as well, but also the Mariner game was on. So thanks to a rain delay, so I didn't get to focus on the Sounders game that much. No, so I watched it kind of like the Storm game, but I didn't get to really pay attention to it that much.
Well, that was also our parents' first Sounders game, and way to go, Freddie Montero Nuhu, for letting them see their first win as well as their first Seattle Sounders game. So, I mean, the Sounders, they already won the CONCACAF title this year. So if they don't make the playoffs, that would be not great, but they already have a championship this year. So it's not the end of the world, but good win by the Sounders yesterday. It was great to see them live. It rained on and off, which was just brutal, but overall my Dippin' Dots didn't get wet, so no harm, no foul there. So good job, Sounders, with that win. But let's move on to the Seattle Mariners, and let's talk about their recent schedule since we were last on the podcast. So the Mariners have had a pretty solid time since we were last on the podcast. They were in Washington, hosting Washington. They won 1 of 2. Then they hosted Cleveland for 4 games, and they won 3 of 4. Went to Detroit, swept them, and then their most recent series in Cleveland swept them as well. So Mariners are on a nice little hot streak of a 7-game win streak. And as I was in Seattle yesterday, we went to the Mariners team store, and I now officially have a Mariners shirt that I have purchased. And I had to go with the guy who just signed the contract here to go on the back. So I now have myself locked into a Julio Rodriguez shirt for the next 10 years, assuming I don't get any taller or skinnier. I'll have to get a medium, I think. But Kevin, what have you thought of the Seattle Mariners since we have last been on the podcast?
Good. Very, very good. They did what we've been mentioning on this podcast that they needed to do. Against the really bad teams like Detroit, you need to either sweep them or get a series win, preferably sweep.
The only healthcare system
But pretty much winning all the series that they've done, we just got to hope that hot streak rides, especially with, I mean, right now we're currently in the first wild card position by half a game or a game.
I'll talk about that when we get there. It's good news for the Mariners.
Yeah. And now I was talking with a buddy that it's kind of a double-edged sword, but I'll take it when we get to that point. I mean, the starting pitching for the most part has looked good. The Marco Hayden
Kevin, they have a 0.6 ERA. It doesn't look good. It's fantastic. Like it's points. I think it's like 0.6 something. Like, yeah, they've been amazing.
Yeah. All the Marco haters, literally, I think they're now just digging for stuff. Like he's what you expected him to be.
He's an amazing 5th starter.
Yeah.
He's your 5th starter. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
just don't want to be your ace. He's a bad ace. So
I believe he's won his last 3 starts too, if I'm reading this correctly.
I mean, quality starts. He's had quality starts. I don't care about his losses, but like he's a good 5th starter.
Yeah, the crazy part is most 5th starters only get you like 5 innings. Like Marco will always try to get you like 7, which is nutty. And the fact that he's pretty much done 3 earned runs or less in most of his starts, like quality starts, is what you want out of your fifth starter. That's the plus side. Like
everybody other than Dodgers and Houston would kill for that right now. Like, Are you kidding me? That could be like their 4th starters for like all these teams, like 28 other teams. Like, yeah.
Bullpen for the most part has been lights out. I mean, they've had some stuff here and there. Seawald had another home run and gave up, but that's fine. Like, they're not perfect. They're going to make errors. Like it's going to happen. And the other team is paid to play baseball, so they're paid to try to hit off our team. But we've, like I said, as Sean mentioned, our whole pitching staff has done good. The hitting has gotten a little bit more consistent. I like to see it at a little bit higher pace, of course, but especially over the weekend, we've been seeing a lot more runs, which is good to see. Ty France kind of seems like he's getting back in his groove after Cleveland Guardians try to pull some bull crap. And I watched that game. I watched, and I almost punched my TV because literally tripping him twice on exchanges going to first. I won't get into that. So he was kind of nicked up there for a little bit, but kind of came back. Julio's being sexy per usual. We're going to talk about the big dumper Cal Raleigh's just doing sexy things with all that junk inside of his trunk. And as Sean and I have been talking about him being probably a top 3 catcher this season. I want to see more consistency next year, but if he can continue to next year, that we got what we pretty much wanted in a catcher, and that's a good thing.
As it stands right now, he's like top 5, like, because the other people on the list are rookies. Like that, that's it. Like,
true.
So like, there's just no consistency at the catcher position.
Haggerty is still being a pretty good utility player for us. Most everybody's kind of contributing, minus a little bit of Frazier and JP. They have, hopefully they'll get there. I know Winker's had some BS calls against him, but like I said, his chase percentage is really good. Just unfortunately, a lot of unlucky things happening to him. But overall, I like what this club is doing. You now have, it's Monday. We're playing
right now, the White Sox. Yeah, Julio got an infield single. Julio got an infield single just now.
Yeah. So, other than Atlanta and the Padres, it's kind of a coast. I mean, the White Sox are a legit team. Like, they're not. They've just had a lot of injuries, unfortunately. They're not like poo-poo, but they're a team that you have to respect. You can't just walk on them.
They are horribly managed too.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan Cease the other night freaking went ape shit on. Yeah, so poorly managed and just a lot of injuries. But they, like I said, they have people like Dylan Cease. And I mean, Eloy, he just came back and he's been hot since he's come back from his injury for the 20th time this season, because I have him in fantasy. Yeah, overall, I'll pass it off to Sean. It's good. It's good stuff.
I'm gonna go first, Sean, because you're gonna have a little more to say because you actually went to a game. I'm just so happy watching this team. Unfortunately, it's been harder to watch this team because Root Sports needs to get their app figured out. I don't know if Sean's got his issues figured out, but
I got it.
Okay. Well, I just seem to get an error message anytime I try to bring up the Mariners. Now, luckily, they've been on like Fox recently and Apple, so I've been able to watch those ones. But Root, please figure it out so the fans can watch. That would be excellent. But I mean, you guys are going to bring up the minute details of things they can improve. I don't really care about that. This team's winning. They have the best record. It was 41-19 since, what was it, the All-Star break, I think?
They have the second best record.
Yeah. I've got no complaints. Like, this team is just fun to watch. It's also fun to win. When you put those two things together, it's a great time right now to be a Mariners fan. You guys mentioned Dumper. They actually put that on the lineup card, which is funny and awesome at the same time. You've got George Kirby putting a bucket of gum on his head. I mean, this team is
that was not George Kirby. That was
it not?
My friends.
the people behind him. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Ty France
Ty
with the
France.
bucket of gum on his head.
I mean, speaking of Kirby, he was the AL Rookie of the Year last month for August. So, I mean, this team is just having a fun time winning games, and it's just fun to watch, and it's just fun to be a Mariners fan at this moment, because it's been a while since they've had this level of success, and I've seen the playoff percentages and it looks pretty good. So it's just great to see everything come to fruition. Julio will talk, I'm sure Sean and Kevin will talk about that, but he got his money, as I think all of us stated at the beginning of the season. So it's just really good to see this team come together. The pitching's really good. I know the bullpen nicknamed themselves. I don't know. I was trying to find the tweet. I can't find exactly where it is. I've been enjoying watching Suarez play. Like, he just seems like he's having a lot of fun out there. Mitch Haniger's back now and he's playing well. So really, I don't have a whole lot of complaints, just a lot of praise for how well this team's playing and how much fun they're having out on the field. So looking forward to it in October. Where's wood? I don't need it probably, but yeah, knock on wood here. So awesome time to be a Mariners fan. Sean, what did you think? And what did you think? And what was your experience like at Ichiro weekend? Go ahead.
It was pretty good. Demo, the wife called Demo's home run. I said, she's like, there's a guy on first and second. Demo was up, and I was like, oh man. And I was like, you know what? The best case scenario, just Demo get on base, and then Julio hit a grand slam. And she goes, well, why can't this guy hit a home run? I was like, well, I mean, I guess he could, but Julio's much more likely. And the next pitch went over the left field wall. So she said, I think he's going to do it. And then the next pitch proceeded to go over the wall. So she called it, and my son did not like it. He started crying because everyone got very loud. But other than that, he did good and they did good. Mariners figure out your Mariner Moose situation. We waited in the Mariners den to get a picture forever, and he never showed up. So, but other than that, he got his little T-shirt for Mariners Club. So it is a large. So it's gonna be a while, number of years till he fits in that, but that's fine. It's a free T-shirt. Beggars can't be choosers, right? I have a question. It was good environment. A lot of people. Everybody's really friendly. The guy behind me, I'll say this again, talking about calling thing. Dude behind me goes, before we sat down in the game, there was like empty section. We sat in our seats. Dude behind me goes, Ty France was slumping, as everybody remembers. He goes, Ty France breaks out today, gets 2 hits, a home run. And I heard him say it to his family. I'm like, okay. First inning gets a hit, home run. And then I walk on the concourse, going to the Mariners Moose Den, and Ty France hit his home run. And I went, well, that guy called that exactly. Like, both home runs, people around me called it. Like, he called Ty France 2 for 4 with a home run and a hit, and that's exactly what Ty France did. So I didn't call anything. I feel really bad about that. I should have like said I called something, but I did not. But I have a game for you. So the game was fantastic. Parking was a nightmare, but it was Ichiro bobblehead weekend, so teams charged a ton of money, surprisingly, for that. Yeah, Ty France. Yeah, Ty France and JP are usually the guys. I have a question for you guys. So since August 1st, how many games has the Mariners pitching staff given up more than 4 runs? These aren't earned. I don't want to sort by earned. I don't want to go all that, right? But how many times since August 1st, so over a month, have the Mariners Mariners entire team as a team pitching given up more than 4 runs? 4 or more runs.
I was going to cheat and look at the schedule that I have up, but now I'm sharing my screen. I can't do that.
Because 4 is the major league average. So
how many games? Can you give us a number of how many games at least?
I don't know. It's probably like 30, I would guess, because just some off days,
Okay, so how many games
30.
They've given up over 4 runs? I would say 5.
4 or more.
4 or more. 7.
Kevin? 3. Matthew, 7 would be the second best ERA in baseball. Kevin is undershot it. The correct answer is 4. And 2 of those games are because they gave up 4. They have basically given up more than the major league average in 2 games in over a month. So they've been fantastic. These starters are like, they've been amazing. And by the way, the 2 games that they gave up more than 4 runs, they won both those games anyways. So yeah, the Mariners are doing everything right. They're giving up no runs. Honestly, they've been scoring some runs too. The last time they scored less than 3 was August 24th against Washington, which they lost, but they haven't scored less than 3 in a long time. August 9th was the next time. So, I mean, yes, the offense could be a little better, but only compared to the pitching, because the pitching's been like the best in baseball. Like when you compare one to the other, yeah, they've been fantastic. Like Kevin said, like they've been absolutely amazing in every aspect. Cal's doing things. Ty France finally got heated up. That was a big thing. Julio was struggling too there for a little bit. He heated up. Mitch Haniger was basically carrying this team for a little bit with some clutch hitting, and he doesn't have to do that anymore, which is super nice. But yeah, this team, I don't see how any complaints. Oh, and I was gonna say, Kevin talked about the wild card standings. It is official, the Mariners have a 5-game lead over Baltimore right now as we speak. For just playoff spots, like from first to like just not make the playoffs. And why the playoff odds are so low for everybody else is because, again, what has finally started, the Mariners survived what they had to survive, because now Toronto, Tampa Bay, and Toronto play each other all the time. Toronto plays Tampa Bay 10 times, and they play they play Baltimore 9 times. And then the other couple games, they each play like Houston a couple times and the Yankees. So these teams are going to beat up on each other. And that's why the Mariners playoffs odds is because it's like, because before it was like 98%. Everyone's like, oh, we only have a 3.5 game lead. Why is it so high? I go, because these teams behind us were guaranteed. One of them is going to have to lose. So the Mariners basically just have to be 500, and they're basically for sure going to make the playoffs. Just don't be below 500. And not only have they not been below 500, they've won 7 in a row. So this is basically, I don't want to say locked it in, but it is going to be very hard for, I think, someone for the White Sox just hit a home run. AJ Pollock just hit a solo home run. Okay. Can't wait for Twitter to blow that out of proportion. But yeah, they all have to play each other. The Mariners are looking really good. I thought I saw the playoff odds as the Mariners being the number 1 seed in the wild card is looking really good. So I'm digging that for a playoff game. But well, I have a question for you guys. What position would you want to be in the wild card at this moment?
The top one, because I feel like they could beat any team in the Central, which is how that would work, right?
No.
They
would play Tampa Bay. If you're the last wild card, you play Cleveland.
So what is can you explain that?
So the lowest of the division winners, there's 3 division winners. The lowest division winner plays the worst wild card team. So Cleveland will now currently play Toronto, who is the 3rd wild card team, and the other 2 wild card teams play each other. Because it assumes, the division winner is the best, even though they're not right now, and then they get the worst of the other 3 teams.
Gotcha.
So I would love them to be, if they're the only bad situation for this is to be the 2nd wild card. Because if you're the 1st wild card, at least you get the home series. You're at home. And if you get the 3rd wild card, you get to play Cleveland. But if you're the 4th wild card, you don't get to play Cleveland, or the 2nd wild card, you don't get to play Cleveland, and you don't get any home games unless you win the series, which I think we talked about this now. Jerry made the right call. Like Castillo, Robbie Ray, Kirby, and Logan Gilbert is looking like a 3.5, starters that could beat anybody at this point. They're going to beat anybody. The Yankees? We've seen Castillo dominate the Yankees twice. He can go. He did it in New York too. Like he's gone 2 games of 7 innings of 3-run or less ball twice this year in New York. He's not scared of going to New York. So that's why you get that guy. And that's why I think like with these 3 pitchers, you could beat anybody.
Yeah, Sean, I just looked it up, and they played Tampa Bay early in the season. Their last series against them was early May. And I just counted, they were 2-5 against Tampa Bay this year. But that was the last game they played against them was May 8th, and they were 13-16. So
I mean,
really not the same team at this point.
Yeah, for both teams. Like they're not the same team. They good or bad for both teams. Like undoubtedly Tampa Bay and Toronto are very good teams, regardless of how they're playing right now. They're very good. And I mean, I say that as Tampa Bay is 7-3 in their last 10 games. They're not a bad team. So they're both good teams. I would much rather play Cleveland, but if you're going to offer me a home series to play Tampa Bay, I'll take that too. No big deal. Just don't be the second wild card. I don't want the second wild card. That'd be the worst. But again, they have all these other bottom three teams have to play each other, and so beat up each other and let the Mariners get the number one wild card. Let's do this thing.
Quick question for both of you, because I was discussing it with somebody else. Scenario for you, since the Yankees have to play against Tampa Bay and Toronto, who are and Baltimore, who are competing with us for a wild card.
Yep.
Do you want them to beat those teams, but then possibly shatter the Mariners' record for most wins in a season?
The Yankees cannot beat the Mariners' record. They've blown that. It's the Dodgers who are going to make a run at it.
I thought the Yankees were.
Kevin. They have been horrible. They're not even the best record in the American League, Kevin. They're 5 games behind Houston.
Really? Or maybe
they have been a hot. Kevin, they are below 500.
Oh yeah, never mind. Maybe
Kevin, they have been below 500 for like 2.5 months.
Never mind.
Yeah, no, they are below 500 for like the last 2.5 months. The Yankees are in a dumpster fire. They're in a free fall right now. Like they are bad. I still don't want to see the Yankees because they are still very talented in general.
To answer that question, Kevin, the record's going to be broken at some point. When? Who knows? But
gosh, is it?
I don't care when it's broken because it will be. So
I mean Matthew, like it took over 100 years to, or it took 100 years to do it last time.
I understand that, but I know the record will be broken at some point. Like
will it? Like it's not a guarantee. There are
I'm not saying it's a
records.
guarantee, but I think there will be a team that will come along that will break it. Records are meant to be broken. I know Wayne Gretzky's a great one, and those records seem untouchable, but there are guys that are inching ever closer. So the game evolves and players get better. So,
but Matthew, the game evolves in the opposite way. Like no one's ever going to break Cal Ripken's record anymore because that's not how the game evolves. It's done. Done. So like there are records that just will never happen.
Because here's the thing, Matthew. When they say the Dodgers lock up the top seed in a week or so,
in 4 days or something.
Yeah, pretty much. Because they're at 92 wins. Then do they start do they care about the record, or do they care about resting their guys for a playoff push?
Can I say this too?
Probably the latter.
I've looked this up with run luck and everything like that. Another thing, the Dodgers are getting unlucky. Can I say that? Is it that's stupid? Okay. Anyways, so that's the thing. But yeah, I don't know. To your point, Kevin, I do not want anyone to break the Mariners record, but maybe that's the curse that needs to be broken. Maybe if the Dodgers do it, they'll break this 21-year curse or whatever it is, and that they'll be free of it. So maybe that's it. But yeah, I don't care. I just want the Mariners to and we've talked about this before, and I thought the year they make the playoffs was the next year, but all of their young guys -1 have come up and been very good. I thought they would take longer, but they've been fantastic. All the young guys have basically been amazing. So it sped up this time frame that I thought, and this is not what everyone has clamored for years, where they're like, just get us in the 1-game playoff and do this thing and blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, this team's going to go, probably, knock on wood, but they have a real shot of doing something in the playoffs. This isn't let's do this and it's a 1-year shot. This team could do damage, and they're not gonna go away next year at all. So this is what I've wanted the whole time, and this is feels like a real caliber playoff team, and I'm really excited for it. Cal just had a double down the line. There you go. Cal can't be stopped. The dumper is in full effect right now.
All right. Well, let's talk about the man who is $200 million richer. Not all up front.
Watch your mouth.
210.
210.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Add that 10 million on. I'm sorry, Julio. Who signed a $200 million contract. It could reach nearly 470 million, according to Jeff Passan of ESPN.
I don't want to. We'll quickly. There's a lot of things that can happen with this thing. It's a very complicated.
So
thing.
it's through 2034 with the option to go through 2039 is what is on the Mariners Twitter here.
It is through 2029 officially.
Okay,
then things get crazy.
Okay, so I thought I read 14 years.
No, it is for 8 years. It is for 8 years with a team option for more years, and if they decline it, then Julio has a player option for 5 years. They're no, I've listened to it. I've listened to multiple
super
podcasts
complex.
discussing the Julio contract, and I'm still very confused. I have somewhat idea, but it's still very confusing.
Yeah, that's what the story says, but it is complicated. At its most straightforward, the deal is $209 million, 12-year contract starting next season. It could be worth $469 over 17 years if he wins 2 MVP awards, sources say. Contract includes 7 seasons, a 5-year player option, an 8-year club option with award escalators, and the possibility the option could extend to 10 years.
Yeah, there's a lot of things.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, details aside, I said this at the beginning of the year, give Julio a key to the city. You can still do that with this contract, I think. I think this might essentially be that at this point is, here is the key to the city, Julio. The team loves him. The city loves him. The fans love him. No reason not to do this. Awesome to have Julio here for an extended period of time. And hopefully there's a lot of winning in that time period. So very happy to see Julio sign that contract and looking forward to many years of him to come in Seattle. That's really all I have to say about that. Kevin, anything you want to add about that?
He's a sexy boy. Let him hit. Let him steal. Let him do all that. It was. Despite it being complex, I like what we did for it. Like, there's a lot of different things to where we're not. I think we learned from the Cano contract not to. Well, and a couple other contracts that other teams have done too that I'm not going to go into. They wanted to avoid a couple of things, and they did that with this contract. So, we have a very young stud star locked in for the next minimum 9 years. So, or no, 7 years, but I'll take it.
Sean?
Yeah, spent a lot of time listening and reading about this contract. After listening to it, it is incredibly fair deal. There are people who will look at this and be like, $25 million a year? Like, that seems like a steal. That's if nothing happens. If Julio is an MVP, it is $35 million a year, which if your guy's winning multiple MVPs, $35 million a year is still a very good amount of, like, that's not unfair. And even in a couple of years, that's not going to be unfair either, because I mean, people are getting over 35 million now. And you're telling me if Julio is going to win multiple MVPs and only make 35 a year, that's an awesome deal. It is awesome for both people, because while people will look at the 25 million and be like, oh, that's not enough. The Mariners, he's still in a contract for 6 years. They don't have to give him any more money. He is arbitration eligible for 3 more years, and they're basically going to pay him less than $1 million. The Mariners with this deal basically said, okay, you get $15 million from now on for your arbitration years. They basically gave him a $15 million raise, boom, right now. So it looks like it's like, hey, it's 25 over the whole thing, but they're giving him way more money now than they're basically have like shredded up his current arbitration deal and be like, done. We're buying these. We're going to pay you way more in these next 6 years. A little bit less on the back end, but it's still going to be $35 million if you're an MVP, or at worst, $25 million at the back end. So it is a win-win for both teams. Julio's getting money now and money later, and the Mariners are getting, I would say, fair market value for Julio Rodriguez, given his age and his playing time. It is a very fair, and that's kind of they brought in a neutral party on this thing. I listen to multiple podcasts that are not Mariners podcasts, and they brought in a contract guy. Goes, this is honestly very fair deal for that reason. He plays well, he makes more money, but he doesn't make, like $80 million a year. He's going to make good money for an MVP if he wins MVPs. If he doesn't play MVP, he makes $25 million, and he's still pretty good. Like, it's very fair on both sides. So I love the deal. Love that he stayed here, and hopefully this can lead to free agents being like, hey, let's play here. And Luis Castillo, please sign here as well. Lock that man up.
Sean went to Ichiro weekend, but I want to talk.
Mariners scored 1-1.
I want to talk a little bit about our memories of Ichiro. So when he first came in 2001, 6th grade. So it was a long time ago, but that was when I was still playing baseball. And as soon as Ichiro came over, I don't know many kids who didn't try and copy his signature pre-pitch style, where he, adjusted the sleeve a little bit. Ichiro actually was so influential for me that I actually taught myself to hit left-handed. Maybe not very well, but I tried to teach myself to hit left-handed just because Ichiro was such a good lefty hitter. And I don't know, I feel like he probably influenced a lot of younger baseball players to just like have that quick first step out of the box with his style. So Ichiro had such a great career in Seattle. It's a shame that we couldn't do more with him on the team, but it was awesome for him to have that, weekend of festivities and just get his time in the spotlight, because he played for the Mariners for quite a long time. I don't know the exact years, but I do remember in 2020 where he got his send off in Japan, and the game was at I think it was 2 in the morning or 1 in the morning,
Something like that.
something like that, where they sent him off against the Oakland A's in Japan. And that was a great send off, because you kind of hear on some of the TV broadcasts how influential he is in Japan. He's like the Michael Jordan of
There was
Japan.
a 4-story poster of him in left field. It was like one of a beer commercial, and it was just could you imagine playing in a stadium like that? There's a giant poster of you in left field.
Yeah, and all the players have come after him, Yusei Kikuchi, Hideki Matsuyama, Shohei Ohtani. All those players talk about the influence that Ichiro's had on their baseball careers and the impact he has on Japanese baseball. So a great addition to the Mariners Hall of Fame, and he still looks like he can play, honestly. So maybe if they're really desperate in the playoffs, they can sign him to a 1-day contract and throw him out there for an inning. So Sean, what do you think of Ichiro?
Do you make the playoffs? Sign him and Felix and bring them both. Do it. You don't need it. Just have Felix in the bullpen. Let him go sit on the bullpen. You're in a blowout game. Just let Felix pitch for a couple batters. He earned it. I would say, yeah, because Matthew, I think, because there's other, pitchers and everything that came over before, but Ichiro was the first superstar. There's other pitchers, Hideo Nomo threw a no-hitter, everything like that. Everyone knew him for his funky windup. He's a good player, but Ichiro was the first Japanese mega superstar. He was the face of a city and a face of a franchise for he was it. And so that's why I would say he was a little different. And yeah, in the terms in the analytics community, Ichiro is doesn't do everything the analytics community says, but the analytics community says he does everything so well in the things you shouldn't do. It doesn't matter. He's still so good because he doesn't drive the ball to the outfield, he doesn't hit it over the wall, but he's so good at making contact. The bad thing is he doesn't strike out, and he just never strikes out. So it doesn't matter that he doesn't hit the ball over the wall because he never strikes out. So he actually broke analytics too. So yeah, he's a freak in a good way. So and he's ours. So.
And also, when we were at the Home Run Derby in 2001, he was cranking them. So he had power. He just didn't really have to utilize it that much because he just got on base. So
imagine if he did utilize it.
Yeah, you never know. Kevin, what are your memories of Ichiro?
Just solid. Changed the way people had to play, especially just because of his speed. Most ground routine stuff to short, you think it'd be out, but then he'd outrun you, type of deal. I remember where I was at when he broke the record in 2004 for most hits in a season. I was bowling, actually. I remember looking up at the TV. I was bowling with my family, and I remember we all just stopped and paused when he was up for bat for it. So we all kind of cheered, celebrated a little bit, but nothing too crazy, of course. But no, he was just always fun to watch. I have a Ichiro baseball bat pen that I got from one of the times that I went for. It's back in 2000. I can't remember who was. Freddie was pitching, but that was what they were giving out. It was a little baseball bat that was that long, but it was a pen, but it had Ichiro on it. So
there it is. Ichiro bobblehead, infamous.
It's one of the million of them. It's not even the new one. I got the new one too, obviously. But yeah.
But no, I mean, he's always going to live in Seattle Mariners history of legacy of top players to ever be here. Along, with the obvious of, Griffey and A-Rod for the little bit that we had him in, Johnson, stuff like that, Felix. So
All right. Well, let's get a minor league update. And while you guys are going over that, I'm going to showcase Eugenio Suarez because if he doesn't want to play baseball anymore, I think the Sounders could probably sign him. I don't know if you guys saw this,
Yeah, this
but
was nutty.
yeah.
Doop.
So minor league update. Kevin, Sean, you
Sad.
guys got anything?
I was looking it up. Sorry, I was
Yes, actually, they just announced it 40 minutes ago that the AAA Player of the Week is Mr. Kyle Lewis. He had, let me bring up his stats real quick. It was 476 average, 7 hits, 7 runs, 3 home runs on the week with 7 RBIs. So Kyle Lewis doing some good stuff down there in Tacoma. What else were we looking at?
I have one. Their first round pick, Cole Young, 19-year-old shortstop, got promoted to a level because he was hitting 140, 150 WRC plus. He is now has a 132 WRC plus at the next level. It's all very real too. Of course, there is no luck here. He has hit his first professional home run last night. It was not a cheapie either, but yeah, he looks like the real deal. And we need to give I got to look where he is now. Where is Axel? Where did Axel go? Oh, there he is. Axel Sanchez. Oh, he's struggling at high A. Oh, he's 8 games. Never mind. But yeah, Axel Sanchez too, another shortstop. That kid is 19 as well. Those 2 guys are in A ball. One is in high A, one's in A. So I'm loving these 2 kids.
A decent return, even it hasn't been like crazy. He hasn't been going crazy, but he's been doing consistently. Would be Evan White. He's hit some dingers since he was returned from injury.
I just want to be healthy. I like, honestly, just be healthy.
Like, we know what he can do at first base. Like, him defensively is just ridiculous. And we know he has the power to hit dingers. It's just, unfortunately, it's a health concern. So hopefully he can stay healthy and maybe we see something out of him later down the pipe. But I mean, right now we don't really need it with Ty France being a sexy kitten. So
yeah. No, but yeah,
Indeed.
Hancock was the player of the month last month, pitching wise. Yeah, they're looking pretty nice. You know, they obviously traded away a lot in the minors to get Castillo, but that's worked out really well. I really like that guy. So he's really fun. So yeah.
All right. Well, let us know what you think of the Mariners' recent weeks, the Julio contract, Ichiro weekend, some of your memories. Suarez being a great soccer player. Go into this. I'm at Matt. Sean's Sean Scorpay. Kev is at C2Believe, SEA2Believe on Twitter. Like our videos, dislike our videos on YouTube, comment, tell us what you think of all the topics we talk about. But let us move on because we have actual, real, consequential football games coming up this weekend, the start of the NFL season. But first, before we get to some predictions, we got to talk about some of the stuff that has happened previously. So let's talk about the final preseason game. Sean came over along with the family, so our dad was kind of watching some of it on his phone. I didn't really catch any of it. But it was 27-26 Dallas. Box score is blah blah blah. Any takeaways for either of you guys from that game? I didn't really watch any highlights or anything, so I have nothing.
Who was your guy that you covered, Matthew?
What's that?
Who was the guy that you knew from the school, the linebacker?
Oh, Joel Dublanco. But
looked so much better in the last preseason game. I wouldn't say amazing, but did not look like the worst football player I've ever seen in my life. So, and I think he made the team, didn't he?
I don't think so. Let me look on here.
I thought he did, but
we'll get to that in a little bit here.
Looked much better. I will say, I think we said this in our little chat. Gino, oh come on, stay in the park. Home run, 2-run home run. Dang it. Sorry, I got distracted there. I would say both quarterbacks didn't look. I watched the Lock game where he fumbled and did some things. That's what you're going to get with Drew Lock. There is some good and bad, but I also thought Drew Lock made a lot of nice plays that weren't caught or weren't blocked well because he is playing with third stringers at the end of some of these games and things like that. He clearly isn't a third stringer, but there is some like ups and downs for him. Gino looked good too in the most of the preseason when the stuff that again that they can control, not wide receivers. But Gino is a safer bet. You know who Geno Smith is. Mitch Haniger had in his glove and it fell out over the wall. But Gino looked better. Probably should start if you're looking at the better player right now. Like if it was truly a competition, who had the better preseason, it was Geno Smith. I just think that Drew Lock gives you the more boom or bust. If you're going to go to the playoffs, it's with Drew Lock. If you're also going to get a top 3 pick, it's with Drew Lock. Gino is that middle safe ground. That's it. He's a floor riser, not a ceiling riser. And that's kind of how I feel about it. And I mean, I'm fine with Gino starting. It's just not going to move my needle at all. So that's what it is. Hopefully Gino can prove me wrong. But as a guy who was cut by the 2 New York teams, I don't have a lot of faith in that. But let's see. We're going to talk about the roster a bit, but yeah, just preseason game. It's a preseason game. Looked fine. The rookies played pretty well. Still, the guys I wanted. I liked the cornerbacks, and I liked at least the 2 guys that we drafted, and then I liked the 2 linemen too. The 2 tackles. They looked fine. And, yeah.
Kevin, any thoughts on the final preseason game as well as Gino being named the week 1 starter?
Yeah. So this was the game I was actually able to watch. I watched the whole thing. Couple takeaways from it. One, the run game kind of proved to me that it just enforced my thoughts that we really did need to take Ken Walker. And the second, because DJ Dallas and Travis Homer looked phenomenal. Well, not phenomenal, but they looked solid. They looked pretty good. Yeah, now, I mean, most of the time they're going against seconds and thirds, but still, like, just presence, route running, shifting through space, type of deal, looked very good. Lucas and totally brain farting.
Kevin, can I interrupt?
Yeah.
The update just came out. Kenneth Walker still has no timetable to his recovery. It just like 20 seconds ago, he just made a comment. Kenneth Walker he's running and catching, but doing pretty well, but there's no timetable still.
I mean, I rather would have taken maybe a shot at a QB or at least
just wanted to give an update. Just wanted to give an update. Well, we can get that later, but that's it just came across random.
But yeah, no, Lucas and Cross looked great. So it gives me a little bit, and we'll get into that with previews. It gives me a smidge more hope with, quarterback, because I think we're going to have a little bit more, a little bit less QB pressure on our QB. Defense looked a smidge better, but they're still like linebacking core and the front 4 still have a lot to improve on, especially since they were out at left tackle because I forgot whoever Dallas's star left tackle is who's out for the majority of the season. You should be able to take advantage of that, but they did not. So let's see. Yeah, Drew in that game, there was one play, the one interception where it's like a slant, and I have no idea what the hell Drew Lock was looking at because it was clearly going to get picked. His other picks were kind of situational. Like I think Drew Lock played okay, especially since he had been out the previous week. I would love to see more of him with first and second team reps rather than 2 to 3. Sean already mentioned. Dixon looked good. That's for damn sure. Big Dick Dixon still punting pretty damn good over there. So that was nice to see. Other than that, not much other takeaways. Other than the fact that it sounds like Sherm is taking a personal investment into one and is going to share his depth of knowledge with him, which is a plus side because Sherman's one of the best to ever do it. So that's only nothing but good right there. So to a kid who's already clearly talented and has shown it a little bit in this preseason. So all in all, I mean, it's preseason though, so I don't really try to take too much out of it. Because I mean, yes, there's some things you want to look for, but with 2s and 3s going, it's just hard to really put any stamp on it, so to speak. But yeah, we'll move on from there.
Yeah, I was surprised Gino was named the starter. Sounds like from what you guys have said and from camp and preseason that he did play better. Like Sean mentioned, it's not super inspiring.
Safe.
I do think that
What Pete does.
I do think we will see Drew Lock at some point. If this team is as bad as a lot of people say it is, I would be shocked if we don't see Drew Lock at some point during the season. So
Why don't you just start with him then if you're going to play him eventually?
I mean, I think it's going to be like they're 2-6 or something scenario, and they're like, screw it, throw him in there, or whatever. Like, it's inconsequential at this point anyway. So I think we will see Drew Lock at some point. But that being said, you know, if Gino plays well enough and this team maybe hovers around 500, maybe we don't see Drew Lock. But I think we will see Drew Lock at some point during the season. So, you know, Gino has earned the job, and he is on a 1-year contract, if I'm not mistaken. So I believe this is kind of Gino, if you're going to be the guy, like, here's your shot as well. So I think both guys are kind of on their last legs as having even a shot at the starting job in this league. So if they want to remain in this league or, you know, keep playing elsewhere, this is most certainly Gino's chance, because he's not going to get a better one at this point. So Gino, if you can play in this league, now is the time to show it. You have the opportunity right in front of you, and let's see what you got. Your play with the Jets, very uninspiring. You bounced around.
That was probably a time to show it. but I mean, this is the third shot you got to show it. Here you go.
Sure. So third time's a charm, hopefully, for Gino. So we'll see how it goes week 1. But let's talk about the opening roster. I'm gonna share my screen with the full roster here. So is there anything that stands out to you guys? For me, I really am a fan of this tight end room. We'll see how much they're utilized, but I like Will Dissly. I like Noah Fant. I like Colby Parkinson. We'll see how all of them are utilized, or if they're all utilized. I hope they all are. But I think that the tight end room is pretty solid. Wide receiver isn't too bad as well. Some of the cuts were a little bit interesting, but I think that's a pretty solid room as well. And then the cornerback room is very interesting to me as well. You've got Kobe Bryant, you've got Tariq Woolen, and then it's kind of a bunch of guys who are definitely on prove-its as well, or at least for me.
Michael Jackson played really well in the preseason. He had a couple earlier starts where he didn't play that well, but I think he played really well at the end.
Yeah, so John Reed was the guy they brought in from the Texans last year. He made the team.
I liked him in the draft. There we go. Keep him, Pete.
Artie Burns was signed from Chicago. I don't think they've announced who's starting. I think it's going to be a mystery. And
Pete announced a little bit that Sidney Jones will be healthy and will play against Denver. It didn't say start or what. He just said he will play, air quotes. So yeah. I don't know what that means.
In terms of the cuts, I think Marquise Blair was my biggest surprise, but overall wasn't too surprised with the cuts that were made. And I think some of the guys went on IR and they re-signed Justin Coleman after they released him. So overall, the roster, it's going to be interesting to see which position groups shine. But the ones that stand out to me initially are tight end and cornerback. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, the ones that I really noticed, Blair, which I got on a rant about, just kind of continues on to what we mentioned, that Pete unfortunately just doesn't know what to do with his draft picks. Maybe start Blair earlier in his career instead of sitting him for like 3 years.
No, you had to play Tedrick Thompson.
Apparently, yeah, you have to play T2 because he has more experience. And,
experience of being terrible at football, but yeah, he has experience.
Mm-hmm. So, and then you throw him out there after 3 years sitting on the bench, and then he doesn't really perform in preseason games. Big shocker, Pete. Weird. So it's just a waste of a second round pick. My other one that I was actually kind of surprised at was Swain. I thought Freddie Swain at least showed enough that he's a solid 3rd/4th receiver. He makes 50-50 balls look pretty decent. He has decent running routes to where when we've looked back at the footage that we've used on NFL Plus now, like there's times where he got separation from corners. Like, I was just kind of surprised that they did cut him. So it was kind of, even though I thought he was a fourth, but I guess he was a fifth round pick. But still, like, even then, like he was drafted 2 years ago. So like, what are we doing with our picks? Like,
he was a sixth round pick, Kevin.
Oh, was he a sixth?
I mean, I don't care if he got a sixth round guy. Like,
but I mean, for a sixth round pick, I thought he showed enough to at least make part of the roster over a Marquise Goodwin, especially since he knows your scheme better than Marquise Goodwin does. And he's younger. So, but all in all, everything else kind of fell into place about what I expected to. So, and I guess LJ Collier's hurt again, if I heard that correctly. So,
yes,
that's big shock there. All in all, am I surprised Gino started? No, because it's the safe pick, and that's what Pete likes to go with. He likes to go with safe, even though it's not going to win him a whole lot of games. So,
Sean, what do you think?
I really like this cornerback room. It's really fun. The offensive line room is looking better. Unfortunately, the guys I like, 4 of them played 2 positions. So unfortunately, the middle 3 is just a dumpster fire, I think, unfortunately. The tackles, I think Jake and Stone Forsythe played pretty well as backup tackles. And so I really appreciate that as 2 backups to like 2 rookies you have. Like if somebody goes down, you have 2 guys that I kind of actually trust. I just don't like any of the guys who play in the middle. So wide receiver room looks great with the top 2. You have an injury, light the whole thing on fire. Like D. Eskridge is going to have to play a bunch, and Marquise Goodwin's going to have to play a bunch. Can I say again, why did we trade for JJ Arcega-Whiteside? Like I made that comment in the beginning. The Eagles traded him for a pick. We could have just traded Ugo for a pick and then just not have cut like the guy anyways. You're going to get rid of Ugo, just trade him to the team who wanted him. You dropped the ball there. I know it's not a big deal, but failure of process. Linebacker room. So defensive line, in the most part, a lot of these guys are tackles that they have listed because they're going to do a lot of like 3-4 stuff. Like Al Woods, love Puna, love Monet. Miles Adams played really well in the preseason, I think, too. So as your 4th tackle, looks really nice. LJ Collier, you can just get rid of him. We're done with that. Shelby Harris, I don't really want to see him a bunch, but unfortunately, he's going to play. Honestly, I wouldn't even play Shelby Harris. Like the other 4 guys look way better. Play the other 4. But unfortunately, Pete's going to play Shelby Harris and Quentin Jefferson a lot. But I really like Al Woods and Puna Ford. They should be your starting tackles, with Monet and Adams being your guys coming off, because you need to see who Adams is, see if you can get a sneaky little guy in there. I say little guy is a defensive tackle, but you know what I mean? Like a sneaky, like late under the radar kind of pick, and do it that way. While there is some point to that, Matthew, Will Dissly hasn't actually ever done anything. And he's really overpaid. You better just be an absolute monster this year. Like that's just what has to happen, because that contract is ridiculous. It's being made fun of across all of football. Like it's just too much money to pay a guy like that. Hopefully they use double tight ends. Matthew, I agree with you. If this is a double tight end thing, Noah Fant, Will Dissly, Colby Parkinson, you need to use them all. Because if you're going to run and do some play action stuff and do that, use both tight ends. Because I really like Noah Fant and Will Dissly over Marquise Goodwin playing. And if you can like run some fakey stuff with that, I don't really need to see D. Eskridge and all those guys. I would want to see Noah Fant and Will Dissly out there doing some stuff instead. The most important positions is going to be safety and linebacker. And by linebacker, I mean pass rushing linebackers. Adams and Diggs, you got to be better at football. Diggs was solid. Jamal Adams, you got to be better. And those linebackers, Cody Barton, you got torched this preseason. You have to be better. And whoever else, Nick Ballore, I don't need to see you. How you made the roster or some of these other people, I don't know. I don't get it. But still, it doesn't matter. You're just bad at football. You don't need to be playing linebacker. Daryl Taylor, Alton Robinson, you need to go off. Mafe, you need to go off. Like you need to. I don't need a sack number because sacks can lie and be Nwosu. I need you guys to get constant pressure on linebackers because we have a room of guys we all like but they're rookies. So the guys that are probably going to play, a lot of them don't have a lot of time playing. And yes, like you said, Tariq Woolen in a year or so could be awesome with Sherman. But right now, you're going to go against, Allen Robinson and Cooper Kupp right off the, you're going to go against Ayuk, Kittle, and Debo Samuel. Like you're going to, you're just going to get thrown to the fire here in some of these games. And it's just like, Denver, you're gonna go against Sutton, Judy. Like you're getting thrown to the fire, man. So linebackers, those pass rushers, you have to get home, and you have to get home fast to help them out because they're gonna be bringing Jamal Adams too. So there's gonna be one safety over top. The best looking position right here, specialists. Dixon, Myers, let's go. That's how you want to build a team. Dixon, a beast. Myers, solid corner kicker. You're still overpaying him, but whatever. Let's go. Like, you better not miss any kicks for what we're paying you.
Playing rugby. Let's go. Kick it. All right. Well, let's move on to some predictions. We're about an hour in, so let's roll through these. So let's start with the Seahawks record and finish in the division. Any hands up to go first? Any hands up? Going once, going twice. Okay, I'll go first. I have thought about it, and it's really hard to say because there is a lot of there's no one expects them to do anything. So it's weird that the expectation is a lot different this year. There's obviously a reason for that, but
it's not weird. It's totally expected. Everyone else is telling you exactly
I said there's a reason for that. So I am going to predict them to be 6-11 and 4th in the NFC West. That is what I came down on. I could see it.
Can I ask you really quick before you go on?
What's up?
What's the record of Denver Broncos this year?
I think they're going to be about 10-7. I think.
So why, Matthew? Why? Why? You just said the words. Why?
What?
Why?
You made a bet with me. Why? Why did you make that bet?
That one was more emotional. I was just kind of pissed.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like, and in hindsight, that one was a bet I
knew as soon as you said, I'm like, you're not gonna make these picks when we do our picks. Like, come on.
Yeah, that was certainly an emotional decision for sure. But I'm not gonna back away from the bet because I mean,
it's fine.
If I do end up winning the bet, that's hilarious. So that's funnier.
Honestly,
actually.
I'll gladly pay you because that means the Seahawks won probably double digits and they're probably on the playoffs. So I totally will pay it. But that's analytics. Use this more than this. It's okay.
That's sure, that's fair. But 6-11 and 4th in division. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, this seems to be super bad. I actually had them at 6 wins. You know what? I'm gonna change up. I'm gonna say 6-10 and 1.
Ooh, who do they tie? You gotta call it right now. Call it right now.
Ooh, I'm gonna say
the Jets.
No, I'm gonna say Arizona.
All right.
Just because, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. I think Arizona is gonna be a little digress this year with no nuke. Defense is still kind of shaky a little bit. Offensive line is still kind of a question mark.
Kevin, I want you to know that Cal Raleigh was 2 feet away from hitting another home run just now. He's just never gonna stop, dude.
Score update, quick.
3-1 White Sox.
Okay.
So yeah, and then also obviously 4th in the division.
Sean?
I really want to change it because I have 6-11 as well. The Pete is game plan. If everything goes correctly, he's doing it correctly because when you are the inferior team, how you win is you run the ball and eat clock, and then you keep the games close. And so they're the inferior team, going to be a lot of times going to be the worst team. So just keep the game close. Like you're going to play the Rams. Don't let Matthew Stafford and those receivers have the ball a bunch. Just like try to get first downs by you holding the ball and not give them the ball. So just bleed the clock and limit their possessions. That's how you beat like the Chiefs and those teams. Like you basically like play it real close. Hopefully turnover luck or just luck in general wins you the game. And that's the whole plan. So I think they're projected to win 5. I think they'll luck into 1, maybe. They might luck into less, but I think 5's a pretty good number. But since Vegas says you 5.5 because they're dicks and they make you pick one or the other, I say over. Yeah, I think I say 6. Now I'm saying it, I think 5. I'll 6. 6. But I think my take is they're gonna Walker and Penny each are gonna go for 1,000 yards rushing. A new LLB is gonna emerge. Sean's gonna trade for Tua, and the Hawks are going to lead the Hawks to the NFC title game before losing to the Panthers and Baker Mayfield.
That's my tweet. You stole my tweet.
I know. Yeah, I stole your tweet because it's stupid. But
that's a pretty crazy scenario, though, isn't it? Wouldn't that be crazy?
I just want to call you out because there's no way on the planet Earth that's ever going to happen, man, dude.
I know that was an exaggeration.
Please don't tell me you put any money on that. Like, yeah, but yeah, no, they're going to suck. It's going to be real bad. It's going to be real bad. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna say 5 wins, 5 and 12.
Okay.
They finished 4th. I have the Rams at 12-5. The 49ers at 11-6. The 49ers they could be 11-6 or 6-11. It's all gonna be who is Trey Lance. Who is Trey Lance? Is he good? Then awesome. They could be better than 11-6 if he's really good. They could be much worse if he's really bad. So I don't know that. And then I said the Cardinals at 3rd at basically like 500 because Kyler's gonna be awesome. He's gonna get hurt, and that team is like horribly run from the top. Their roster construction is just the stupidest thing ever. So,
Kevin, let's go reverse order. NFC West order and finish.
Yeah, Rams are going to be first, probably with 12 wins. I had Niners in second with 10. Arizona was tough because, like as Sean mentioned, there's a lot of. They do get lucky a lot of times, but they also do stupid things at a lot of times. So I have them at roughly around 9 wins.
exactly, yeah.
If they went 8, I wouldn't be surprised either. Just and then Seahawks obviously was 6. Being the worst in the division. So.
All right. Well, 3rd time's a charm for my Cardinals prediction. They're going 12-5 this year. They're winning the division. They have the best quarterback without a doubt. So they're going 12-5.
Well, actually, no, Stafford is.
No, it's not. 12-5, and then the Rams are going to be right behind them at 11-6. I think that Trey Lance will struggle, but they will still be over 500 and be 9-8.
Matthew's correct, Kevin.
6-11.
A healthy, fully functional, 100%. Kyler Murray is the best, but that is never going to beat Kyler. So come November, Matthew Stafford becomes the best quarterback.
3rd time's a charm for me. Otherwise, I'm going to take the egg off my face next year and just throw it against the wall, and we'll pick the Rams and be chopped.
Hey, if this is a baseball and you're hitting a baseball, that's a really good average. If you're an NFL GM, you got fired 3 years ago. So good for you. You
All right,
can GM the Jets.
And then we can reverse order this for our championship and Super Bowl predictions. So this one, so the AFC and the NFC are both tough in the fact that I feel like the AFC is the better conference overall.
Yeah, obviously.
And the NFC is just like, man, who do I think is going to win? So in the AFC, I have the Bills, and my surprise team in the AFC, who I think is going to be much better than I think people think, are the Raiders. I think the Bills and the Raiders are going to be in the AFC Championship, and the Bills are going to win that game. In the NFC, I am sticking hard to my Cardinals pick, and I'm going Cardinals over Tom Brady's absolute final season with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Probably, maybe. And then in the Super Bowl, I am taking the Buffalo Bills to bring home the Lombardi Trophy over the Arizona Cardinals. Kevin, what do you think?
That's not possible.
Hold on, I'm kind of like stunned that I just heard the Raiders in an AFC Championship. Like, unfortunately, Sean, our brothers have this confusion and they forget, because my brother was like, well, why? Because he was asking me, why won't the Raiders be good? Because your brother, along with my brother, has forgotten that they play in probably the most toughest division.
The Raiders themselves can be good.
Oh yeah, like
there's a difference between being good and
But like them getting past everybody in that division is just, it's not. It's not there, unfortunately. Just like we learned this offseason that quarterback play is the most important thing in football. And they have the fourth best quarterback in that division. They don't even have the best defense in that division. So, I mean, adding Devontae Adams is nice, but unfortunately, it's the fourth best quarterback throwing to him. Hunter Renfrow did stand out last year, but I just don't see it. Anywho, sorry, going on a tangent. AFC Championship. Ooh, that is a toughie. I'm gonna say I'll spice it up a little bit. I'll say well, Bills are gonna probably be there. I'm gonna say Chargers.
You had that last year, and we were shocked, but if they do well this year, I could see it.
I think this is the year that Mr. Herbert finally possibly goes apeshit, but unfortunately, they get so jinxed by injuries and just random shit, and then coaches doing dumb things against the Raiders in the final season game type. Yeah. So I think this could be the year that Justin Herbert starts to take off. No, I wouldn't be surprised if Russell actually.
He already took off. It's do the Chargers take off? Yeah.
If it's not the Chargers, then I'm going to say Denver, because Denver's defense is a lot better than what a lot of people are going to realize, and they're going to find out real quick. If Russell stays healthy, actually, I might
Oh my gosh, Julio, diving catch. Wow. Okay. Wow.
I'm going to switch it. Actually, I'm going to say Denver. I'm going to say Denver Bills, and I'm going to say probably Bills will take it. And then NFC, I'm going to say the Rams. Trying if I want to. I'm thinking. I don't know if I want to say Tampa Bay or if I want to say Green Bay.
Kevin, go. Fire from the hip. Go.
It's probably no, it's gonna be Tampa Bay. I forgot Julio Jones is there. People are not ready. Tom Brady is going to poop. He has even though Julio Jones is older, but he now has a Julio Jones who's not going to have the most, because Mike Evans is probably going to take most of the ones in double coverages. So you have a wide open Julio. That's stupid.
But he's old. Godwin's still hurt. They have two backup linemen. They're really banged up.
But they do have K-Dot and rookie tight ends. Shout out to Tomato High School. Keep going, Kevin.
I think
I'm not saying Tampa Bay's gonna be bad.
I think they're gonna do a little bit more run and quick throws and stuff like that. But Julio, if healthy, with a Tom Brady throwing to him, is a scary thing. Yeah, let's not lie to ourselves.
I can agree with Kevin. I can agree with Kevin if he takes on the true Antonio Brown role and flourishes. It's just hard for me to see it. But
goal line situation, Julio is going to be in 1v1. If it's on the 5-yard line and Mike Evans has double coverage, you have Julio 1-on-1. How do you not throw to that?
What are they going to be on the field?
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I think Goodwin's going to be on.
Is Julio going to be on the field?
Well, yeah, you'd go a 4-receiver set. He's going to be on the field.
If not goal line, just run it. That's when you're supposed to run it.
Well, you can run it too, but I'm saying you have options. I'm just saying a lot of people, just because Julio's 34, are going to be like, "Oh, are you right now?"
I know, but
Brady,
he is definitely getting worse though. He is obviously getting worse.
Yeah, but he also had
so banged up last year.
A bad year Tannehill, even though actually they did make playoffs, but
and Julio wasn't great the year before either. But he's still he's going to be probably the best third receiver in the league. But again, Mike Evans is going to get that jump flying goal ball. Mike Evans is still a monster.
Yeah. So I will take. I'll probably take the Rams, because Rams are still really good. So Rams Bills Super Bowl. I'll take the Bills.
Sorry, what was that pick?
Yeah, you cut out.
Oh, sorry. Rams Bills Super Bowl. Bills take it.
Okay. Sean, what do you got?
I was gonna say the exact same thing Kevin did, so now I gotta like change this up now.
You don't have to change anything.
Okay,
Go
so
with your analytics.
obviously the Bills are the best team. Like that doesn't mean they're gonna win it, but they're very, very good. They drafted well too. Now I know running a defense, but the Bills don't run it because they say screw that, because actually passing is the most important thing. Who would have thought? But because the Bills' leading rusher basically was Josh Allen. The Bills are they're barring an injury, they're an undeniable force. But it's hard to not have the Chiefs in the Final Four because they've never not done it with Mahomes. Like he's 4 for 4. Like at some point, like they're gonna play. The only reason they were the best 2 teams in the NFC last year, and the only reason why they didn't play in the conference championship game because they played before the conference championship game. Kind of like what I said in the hockey playoffs. The best 2 teams are Toronto and Tampa Bay. They just happen to play in round 1 versus the last round. So the way that stupid seeding works out. Man, I like you guys said, the AFC is just so stacked with teams. I just don't know if any teams there that Kevin is right. The one wild card is the Chargers. Do the Chargers not be cursed this year? Because Herbert is the deal. Like he's the dude. Like he is the machine. He is the guy who slinging it. I was going to say a curse word that I heard on a podcast, but like he slings it, and he's the real deal. He might be the best quarterback in football. It's just that the Chargers every year find a different way to lose a game, and it's just like, and everything that they do, like they are, unfortunately, how they're built this year too, is like the Angels. They are stars and scrubs. If they have injuries, they are very thin, but their stars, if healthy, are on the defense. They're loaded. Safeties, corners, linebackers. They just brought in Khalil Mack, not even to be their best pass rusher, to be like their third guy. Like it's just like they're this Joey Bosa Bosa guy that you've
One
heard
of the
of before.
Bosas, whichever one, I don't know.
Bring them both. Who cares? But like, like they got rid of Ingram, who was like the best pass rusher for Kansas City last year, because like we don't need you. Like they're just loaded, but it's just like that they're very starter heavy. And so injury wise, if they lose a couple guys, it gets really bad quickly. And that's, I think, what's bit them in the past. That, and like they were very unlucky on their 4th down goes for last year too. So putting Herbert in a little bit better situation, but they're the wild card. They're the guy who could beat either of these teams pretty easily, I think. If they're playing on it, like Kevin said, Herbert is just an animal. Like if you give him just something to work with, Chargers, he could beat Kansas City in Kansas City. He could beat Buffalo in Buffalo. Like he's that good. He's that dude. Which is funny because those 3 quarterbacks are like the 3 best quarterbacks in football probably right now as we stand. And that's just right. I mean, how do you feel about that, Kevin? Like,
well, the thing that people are not realizing that, and I know it sounds like I'm a homer too, but like Russell Wilson has had an anchor on his foot his whole career. Now,
he has,
getting
but
used to having that anchor off is going to be what's the challenge to him. He's going to have to learn to do intermediate passes instead of just deep eyeing it.
I think this Denver Broncos will be good, but it'll be like the Green Bay Packers year 1, where it's good, but it's not there yet. Like with LaFleur, with Rodgers, it's going to kind of be like, I got to set up because Hackett's never been an NFL coach and run an entire team. He's going to kind of get his thing set up. Russell's going to figure out how they do things, and they're going to work together. They'll probably win, 10, 11 games. They might lose in the 1st or 2nd round, but it's really the 2nd year I expect the jump to happen with Russell and Hackett, because they got to figure each other out. And the only real way they didn't play in the preseason is to start playing games. And they might start off slow like the Packers and LaFleur did. So I'm not sure this year, but like
Russell do his thing.
It's not that easy. You've also got to scheme up receivers and blocking. Like that all has to come together. It's just
you also have to realize this team was over 500 last year without Russell. Now you're adding Russell.
It was not over 500.
No, they were below 500.
They were 1 game below 500.
But they were 7 and 10.
But the thing is, I'm saying is like Herbert, Allen, and Mahomes are unique, and they do things that Russell can't do, which is not a knock on Russell. Those 3 guys are aliens. Like they're just aliens. Like,
well, the thing is, what I think, if Russell can develop his underneath passing game, which he's going to have to, because he's always been told deep bomb. Look for that deep bomb.
Yeah.
And we talked about it in the film footage of like over the past 2 years, where we see open tight ends and stuff down the field, and like Russell's just not looking there. If Russell can develop that and they let Russell do his thing, I think Russell takes that step forward. Like a lot of people underestimate Russell. Even though yes, he is 34.
He's
Think of that.
he's gonna be like a top 6-8 quarterback, but like he doesn't have the piss missile that the other three guys have. Like they have absolute late rockets attached to their right arms. Like, and that's not knocking Russell. Those are like absolute piss missiles.
Well, on the run, yes.
No,
but
just
Russell
straight up. You
like,
stand there. No, Russell does not have the arm strength these three guys do. It is just a different world. Like, absolutely not, Kevin. Absolutely not. Arm strength, like
Russell has made a 70-yard bomb. Literally,
that doesn't matter. All the quarterbacks will throw a 3-yard bomb. I need you to throw it on a line, and those three guys have a. It's not a knock, but like Russell has a strong arm, but it's not the strongest arm. And these three guys have howitzers attached.
But
to
he has the accuracy part though too. Like,
that's true.
What
That's fine too.
With
But
Tyler on the Rams,
I know that. And the other guys are very good at the accuracy thing too. They're all elite. They're fantastic. Yes, they are. They're absolutely
we have
elite.
to see it a little bit to believe it. We believe it's there.
We've seen it. No, they've done it. They're very good at deep balls, all three of them.
Show me a Tyler Lockett end zone corner with like less than 3 inches to grab, like play. Like Russell, like people just don't want to give Russell the credit that he has. Yes, Mahomes.
His arm is not as strong as theirs. That's not a debate. It's not as strong as theirs. Like strength wise, like arm strength, throwing a ball as hard as you can, they're gonna have a stronger arm. Like that's just what it is.
Well, it just depends on if it's in a wind up position. It's gonna be close. Like Russell is jacked. Like yes,
I know Russell's jacked, but Russell played second base for a reason. We talked about this. Russell played second base for a reason. If he had an absolute howitzer, he's playing pitcher or shortstop. He didn't. He has a very strong arm, but again, like
the Phil Mary was 70 yards.
They all throw 70 yards. He throws it in the air. It's a moon ball. Like throw it on a line. That's what I'm saying. Like they're different. They are different. It is okay to admit they're different. That is not saying Russell's like.
We haven't really seen the opportunity for Russell to throw a 35-yard missile straight.
He does. He at any point in his career he could have. Like, I don't know if Russell can throw a very hard ball. I'm not saying Russell's like Aaron or Sam Darnold noodle arm back there, but these guys are different. It's okay, but like they might be the three best quarterbacks in football, and so that's what I'm saying. It's a horse race. Russell's team, depth-wise, might be better than Kansas City or the Chargers.
I think we have one category separating from the other. And yes, it makes them more tangible to where they can do things. But with Russell's intelligence and accuracy being higher than both of them, yes.
That is an opinion.
His intelligence is higher than both of them.
That is an opinion. Like,
I mean, we've seen it, but I mean, yes, he does make mistakes as well. But I think you're going to see it break out a little bit more this year now that he doesn't have Grandpa Pete Carroll holding him down.
Yes, but even his breakout isn't going to get him up into like Mahomes status. He's just not going to be there.
When they let him loose with Pete Carroll still anchoring, he was averaging 35 points a game. Like,
but that's not that. Could he ever sustain it? There's a difference between doing it and sustaining it, though.
He could have sustained it, but then we ran away because Pete doesn't know how to do it.
That's the greatest offense of all time. The Chiefs don't even score 35 a game. There's no way it was going to stay the whole year. That's not going to happen.
Switched to the running game. We've talked about this.
But he's not going to score 35 a game.
He possibly could. We don't know that. He was averaging around 30 to 35 a game until Pete Carroll pooped his pants because Josh Allen took a shit on his defense and then blamed it on Russell for having 3 picks. And then he's just like, well, I don't know how to tweak an elite offense, throwing offense. So we're just going to go back to pounding the ball and doing 30 to 35 carries with the running backs.
Exactly. That was year one of Josh Allen being good, and he beat Russell Wilson.
Yeah, because our defense was terrible and their defense was solid.
Their defense was still bad. The next year was where it got good.
Their defense was solid enough. It wasn't terrible. But Russell did make mistakes, but he still came back, and he's going to have bad games, just like Josh Allen has bad games. Josh Allen put up 6 points against the fucking Jaguars last year. They're just going to have rough games every now and then. Does that make Josh Allen a shitty quarterback that he put up 6 points against the fucking Jaguars? No, he just had an off day. And Russell's going
get
to
that.
have an off day too. It doesn't mean that he can't get to the elite level that those two have. He's just going to do it in a different manner. Just
All right,
because, just like Peyton Manning,
sorry, go
Peyton
ahead.
Manning ain't going to do that type of shit, but he's going to out fucking do him on the line. He's going to make defenses. He can do things with his mouth and with his eyes that Patrick Mahomes and freaking Allen can't do, and shift defenses to make them do stupid things.
But again, that part's an opinion. That part is not a fact.
Hold on. What are the 4 quarterbacks in question here? Let me just ask that question here. You said
Herbert,
3 and then Russ. Who are we arguing about here?
Top
Herbert,
5.
Allen,
Yeah.
Mahomes, and Russ.
Okay, so Herbert, Allen, Mahomes, and Russ. Rank them right now. Which ones you would want on your team? Sean, go ahead.
Well, that's different because they're old.
No.
Three are younger than Russell.
Rank who you want on your team.
Mahomes, Allen. Oh man, Mahomes, Herbert, Allen, Russell.
Okay, Kevin.
As of right now, I would say Mahomes, Russell, Herbert. No, Allen's a little bit more than Herbert, but I think Herbert can take that step to get to Allen's level. I'd say it's a tie between Allen and Herbert at 3.
What do you need to see from Herbert?
Yeah, I would go
Herbert.
Mahomes,
I need to see
Allen, Russ, and Herbert. Personally,
I need to see him take over, like in a clutch situation. Even though he can do it, it's just it hasn't happened.
Did we get your
But their
prediction,
coach-
Sean? Is
their-
that
yeah,
what
their
this
coach
tangent
kind
is
of
about?
No, we didn't. I was saying like the best 3 quarterbacks in the NFL are those.
It's hard
3,
to
right?
judge because there's other mistakes that teams make, like the chart. Like as we said, the
Yeah.
Chargers have so much random
The
crap.
Chargers
where that
can't
if they get
figure
hurt,
anything out. Like the Chargers
and their
can't
coach
do
was dumb.
shit.
But
They just
and
had a
it's
lot of
hard
fourth
to-
down luck.
it's hard to say like what would Mahomes do without Andy, giving him the tools of what he needs to run that offense. What if he was anchored by Pete Carroll? What would Patrick Mahomes do? What would Russ do?
Well,
if he
then you
didn't have
could
Pete
use the
Carroll?
same argument. We don't know what Russell looks like without Pete. Like
Which
maybe
we're
Pete
gonna
made
find out.
Russell. Maybe Pete made Russell. I think that they went after Mahomes because he was the right guy for the job.
I think what I'm seeing the struggle is going to be is that Russell is now going into a scheme that's going to run by his own, but he has to undo the tendencies he was taught by stupid old man Pete of throwing deep bombs. Like he needs to develop his Phillip Rivers game of dink and dunk, and then know when to take the long shots and use that moon ball. That's what he's going to have to develop, and I think that's what's going to happen this season, and how quickly he can adapt to it.
I want to see what the Raiders.
Sean, can we get your predictions?
Yeah, I have Kansas City
Okay.
and Buffalo in the finals.
The overall finals.
Or
We skipped the NFC.
The overall finals because they're gonna one's gonna go the NFC and they're gonna do that. No, I have the heck. I don't want this. There we go. And then I have so I say one thing when I say like, oh, you gotta bet them until they lose. But I'm gonna do the opposite because I'm gonna bet the Packers in the Final Four, but they never do it because it's Aaron Rodgers. But I mean, I just don't know in the NFC who's going to do it. And the Packers are going to have a good record because that division isn't very good right now. So they're just going to get a bunch of free wins. And home field advantage means a lot. And the Rams, if Trey Lance plays good, they still have to play each other, all that stuff. The Saints are a good team. They're just, obviously they have Winston who could be fine. It's just, the Rams or Saints are very talented across the board and everything other than elite quarterback play. So they could get, and they have whooped up on the Bucs like the last 4 times. Like they beat up Tom Brady. So the famous, 4th down sign is the Tom Brady being beaten by the Saints game. So they could give him problems. I just think the Packers really have a free run at this thing. And they might, well, again, like last year, they were according to DOVA, they were the 3rd worst number 1 seed of all time. And so I wasn't shocked that they lost because they were not a very good team. The number 1 team all time was the Titans last year. Shocked that they didn't lose because they were a very bad team, or they were a bad team for playoff team. But I just don't know if anyone's going to beat the Packers. So I say Packers because they could just have to beat one team in the finals. And then I say like Kevin, I just think the Rams with Allen Robinson, people forget he's had like literally nobody throwing him a football, like at all. Blake Bortles is his best quarterback throwing him footballs. Like, I mean, so
I would probably put Justin Fields above Blake Bortles, honestly.
Are you? Because he's been really bad too.
Andy Dalton was there last year.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton.
I mean, peak Andy Dalton, but not that
peak Andy Dalton. But yeah, not current.
But he was old Andy Dalton. That's
I was gonna say he's old, shitty Andy Dalton. So, do you know where Andy Dalton is now? I just figured this out.
Isn't he in?
He's the backup for.
No, he's in New Orleans.
Yeah, he's the backup for the Saints. I like it. Just he's gonna be really good as the number 2 there, because Sean McVay's he's gonna coach those guys up and just do really good things. They just lost a lot of O-line guys, so I think it'll be the same. Those two, and then I'm the same as Kevin. I just think this is the year, because last year in the playoffs, the Bills were the best team in the playoffs, and just through like Mahomes and them just measuring each other, like it just came down to who had the last ball and who got the coin toss, and I think the Bills are the best team, and they just happened to lose that game. And I think this year the Bills get the home field advantage and beat Kansas City in Buffalo, and they go to Super Bowl. Are we giving winners too?
Yeah.
I think this is the year the Buffalo Bills do it. I mean, that's really chalk because the Buffalo Bills, Vegas has them the best team, all that
Bills
stuff.
over Packers, is that what you're saying?
No, Bills over Rams.
Okay.
Two bad running teams and 2 really good passing teams. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? That's how this goes.
All right. Well, we're about an hour and a half in, so we're going to make this real quick with week 1 predictions. Broncos at Seahawks, Monday Night Football, 5:15. I don't have to explain it to real Seahawks fans. You know what's happening here. So let's give our predictions. I do think the Broncos will win. I think it will be a close game because of the energy in the stadium. So I'm going to go with, I think Russell lead a game-winning drive. I'll go 28-24 Broncos. Sean, what do you think?
Broncos by 13. I don't know. Not 20, 28-17. There we go. 11.
Kevin?
I don't think the noise will impact. I mean, Russell's used to that noise. So I don't think it impacts Russell at all. I'll say, and honestly, like I said, people don't realize how underratedly good Denver's defense is. I'm going to say 32-17 Denver.
All right. Well, NFC West, let's go down the line. Your guys' Super Bowl prediction, Buffalo at Los Angeles is Thursday. And then we've got San Francisco at Chicago and Kansas City at Arizona. I'll just roll down. I think I'm going to go Buffalo, Niners, Chiefs. Kevin?
Yeah. I don't know. The Thursday night's game going to be honestly super interesting to watch because that defense for the Rams is still very good. And especially if Aaron Donald is not going to get suspended for trying to murder somebody on the field. You still have the count for Aaron Donald. They still have a pretty good secondary. I think the offense of the Bills is more elite, but they have better weapons technically in the Rams. So I think it's going to be close. I'll probably say Bills, but it's going to be super close. Arizona and Kansas City is going to poop on them, probably by about 10 to 13 points. And then Niners and Chicago is going to be interesting. It's going to be a run fest because I don't think they're going to let Trey Lance go batshit crazy right off the bat. They're going to wean him in. So I'm going to say Niners by 10.
Sean?
Yeah, I agree with Kevin. I think that first game is going to be obviously one of the best games of the year. Sorry, because I think, well, me and Kevin both had them as our Super Bowl finals. I think Buffalo wins. I just think you got to go with the better team. I think they're slightly better. San Francisco, Chicago is lighting it on fire. They're just, I don't know what they're doing. Like, they're a dumpster fire. Even if Trey Lance is bad, I just don't see any way that they beat San Francisco. San Francisco has a good roster as of now, even if Trey Lance is bad. So I think San Francisco wins. And then, yeah, Kansas City is going to gonna light that defense alive. Like I just don't see how they stop them. Once Kyler's gonna try to keep up, but if Buffalo's offense can't keep if Buffalo's offense can't keep up last year, there's no way you're keeping up. I just don't see it. So it'll be like 31-38 or something like that.
If they had Nuke, I think it'd be closer. Just because I don't see anybody. I don't see anybody in Kansas City's secondary stopping Nuke. But with no Nuke, it's a little bit further.
They've never had anybody stop anybody, but it just doesn't matter because they just score so many freedom points.
All right. Well, let us know what your Seahawks prediction is for win-loss, finish in the division. What you think the NFC West is going to shake out. Your Super Bowl prediction. Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Peter Matt. Sean is Sean Scobetti. Kev's at Kev's Believe First Team. No. Kev is at C2. It's just habit. C2 Believe. SEA. To Believe. Go ahead, like our videos, dislike our videos. Tell us what you think in the comments below this video. We'll see about a podcast next week. We might be able to get one in right after the game. But if not, we will see you in a couple weeks, and we'll see you then on Washington East to West Sports.
Don't boo Russell.